to work on the ground. Right hand. Boom, there it is. See him go down.
Renato Moicano!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you missed UFC Vegas 115 this past weekend, let me tell you, you missed one of the more chaotic and entertaining main events we have seen in a good while. We had Renato "Money" Moicano going up against Chris "The Problem" Duncan in the main event of UFC Fight Night 272, live from the Meta Apex in Las Vegas on April 4th, 2026. Now, real quick before we get into the breakdown, here is what you need to know about both guys. Moicano is a Brazilian lightweight ranked number 10 in the UFC, trains at American Top Team, and has 10 submission wins on his record. He came in on a 2-fight losing streak after back-to-back losses to champion Islam Makhachev and Beneil Dariush, so he was absolutely desperate for a bounce-back win. Duncan, on the other hand, is a Scottish lightweight who earned his UFC spot on Dana White's Contender series in 2022, came in on a 4-fight win streak, including a finish of Terrance McKinney at UFC 323, and held a UFC record of 6 wins and 1 loss. 2 dangerous lightweights, same gym, same training partners. Let's get into it. Here is the part that made this fight even more interesting before a single punch was thrown. Both Moicano and Duncan actually train at the same gym, American Top Team. These two guys have shared the mat and sparred with each other plenty of times, and Duncan openly admitted before the fight that Moicano had gotten the better of him in those sparring sessions, but he also made it crystal clear that he was a completely different fighter now. Duncan even went as far as saying this was a battle of youth, pointing out that Moicano was the older guy coming off 2 losses, while he was younger and on the rise. Moicano kept it very calm when he heard that. He just said they would have to fight on Saturday and see, and that is exactly what happened. Once round 1 got going, Moicano walked straight to the center of the octagon and made it obvious he was going to be the aggressor. Duncan stayed on the outside and immediately started going to work on Moicano's lead leg with low kicks. He landed several of those early on, and for a brief moment, it looked like his game plan was actually coming together nicely. But here's the thing about Moicano. He is a very smart fighter. After about the 3rd leg kick, he had already figured out Duncan's timing. He waited patiently, and the next time Duncan tried one, Moicano countered with a straight punch right on the button and sent Duncan crashing into the cage. From there, Moicano started catching Duncan's kicks and using those moments to fire back. Defense was turning straight into offense. To be fair, Duncan did have his moments in round 1. He landed a really nice high kick halfway through the round that got the crowd buzzing. He also stuffed several of Moicano's takedown attempts, which showed some solid defensive wrestling and reminded everyone that he was not just there to survive. But as the round went on, Moicano's jabs started landing almost at will. He was throwing in combinations, piling up the volume, and by the time the horn sounded, round 1 was clearly his. Round 2 started with a completely different energy. Duncan came out way more fired up and immediately tagged Moicano with a stiff straight right hand. The two then started trading hooks right in the middle of the octagon, and for a brief moment it actually looked like Duncan had found a second gear and was about to make this a real fight. Then, one punch changed everything. Moicano landed a short left hook right on the chin of Duncan, and Duncan's legs just completely gave out underneath him. He dropped straight down to one knee, and Moicano did not waste even a single second. He rushed in immediately, jumped onto Duncan's back, and started hunting for the finish. He locked in a body triangle to pin Duncan down and started ground and pound punches to rough him up even more. Duncan was bleeding at this point, and the situation looked desperate for him. Moicano then transitioned to the rear naked choke, briefly gave it up, adjusted his grip, and then sunk it in deep a second time. Duncan had no choice but to tap out at 3 minutes and 14 seconds of round 2. The official results recorded the finish as a submission by face crank, though the sequence clearly looked like a rear naked choke from start to finish. If you only watch one thing from UFC 115, make it Moicano's post-fight speech, because it was absolutely wild. He grabbed the mic and went on a full rant that included multiple F-bombs, talked about his faith in Jesus,
I believe in Jesus. No. Jesus.
brought up the ongoing election back home in Brazil, and flat out told the UFC to give him a big fight or he would retire.
So who do you want to fight next?
You better give me somebody that is easy and is in the rankings. Otherwise, I'm gonna fucking retire.
But the best part came when the interviewer told Moicano that the fans love him. He looked straight into the camera and said, "Fuck the fans."
Fans, fucking the fans, you know? I love you guys, but fuck you all!
Then, in literally the very next breath, he asked everyone watching to go follow him on YouTube.
I'm making a lot of money with YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, motherfuckers!
The crowd went absolutely crazy. It was a very money Moicano moment, and easily one of the most entertaining post-fight speeches we have seen in recent memory. This was a massive and much-needed bounce-back win for Moicano. Keep in mind, he stepped in on short notice to fight Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title at UFC 311 back in January 2025, and after getting submitted there, he then dropped a clear decision to Beneil Dariush, 2 losses in a row. People were genuinely starting to question if Moicano's time near the top was running out. This win at 36 years old answered a lot of those doubts. He now sits at 21 wins and 7 losses overall, and is 13 wins and 7 losses inside the UFC. As for what comes next, Moicano wasted no time calling out names. He went after Brian Ortega first, saying he wants revenge for their first fight, but the call-out that got the most buzz was when he called out Paddy Pimblett. Pimblett responded on social media saying, "Let's do it." Even other MMA pros were chiming in online pushing for that matchup to happen. Moicano himself doubted it though, saying the UFC would protect Paddy and that fight would never get made. Whether that matchup happens or not, Moicano made it very clear he is not done competing at a high level. For Duncan, this was only his second loss in the UFC, and only his second professional loss overall. He came in talking about youth and momentum, and he did show real flashes of danger in both rounds. The guy earned his way into the UFC through Contender series, has been finishing people, and is still developing. This is definitely not the last we will hear from Chris the Problem Duncan. Anyway, that is going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It really does help us out more than you know. I will catch you guys in the next one.